Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. You know we love you in Africa. The Big C tribe, we love you in Canada. But Big C, there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful May 10th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, I'm trying to work the gimmick like everybody else. I'm putting together a GoFundMe page, okay? Because the average price of a ticket in the Western Conference Finals is $996.
Wow.
So I'm putting together a GoFundMe page so they can go and send me to the game, buy me tickets, get me a hotel, and buy me tickets for the game. So.
You want to send Big C to the NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals? Now, GoFundBigC.me. GoFundBigC.me. Big C, what if some people really do it, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I'm asking. I'm serious. You know, to help a brother out. In his golden years. Bring it on, give me that gift, fly me back and forth between the games. And the average price of a ticket is $9.96.
Yes.
I don't want the average price ticket. I want a good best seat. Okay? I want to be close. I want to, when they cussing at each other, I want to be able to hear that. I don't want to see it on the jumbotron. I don't want to be trying to read lips. I got glaucoma, so I don't see that.
I understand.
So, get me a good seat where I can hear. At least I got the hearing good in one ear still.
Yeah, that's always good. So if you guys want to send Big C all around the world so he can drive his Escalade up to the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. You should put GoFundMe on the Escalade. In fact, change it from GoFundMe to GoFundC. That would make a lot of sense, Big C. How about GoFundC? That make any sense to you, Big C? Your thoughts?
That works for me, because I know you got beloved fans out there. I mean, if they can go fund the president, for malicious stuff, they can go fund me for some fun.
Yeah,
have Big C, live and direct broadcasting from these finals, Charlton. It's going to just be an extra. Listening to our broadcast.
That is so beautiful. I do want to say today's segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C send you. And C stands for GoFundC, Big C. GoFundC. I like that, Big C. GoFundC. He's looking for $3 billion. Can you get it up and beat $3 billion, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we're going to have to be able to go out and eat. That's one of the things. I do enjoy a nice steak every now and then. And when I'm on the road, it's not always easy to get this moonshine. You have to settle for some of that California wine, when you're out there on the road, to wash down that horse steak. I mean, that steak that you have, for dinner.
Yeah, we still want to Justify. Congratulations, Justify winning the Kentucky Derby. Love that so much. Some other things I found out too, Big C, about some good old boys that are out doing the horse racing and going all up and down the tracks is, if you realize, back in the day there was a movie, I know there were a couple. One was called Gunsmoke, and they always had a horse. John Wayne was always on a horse when he did his thing. And that movie Blazing Saddles that you talked about, they had horses, but that guy that you really liked had a mule. But what they did not have is a GoFundC page, Big C. Your thoughts? GoFundMe for Gunsmoke, Big C. Your thoughts?
Once we get this page up and running, you think about all the exciting championship events that we have going on constantly around the. We're going to have to make, one of those ice events, where we head out there to the NHL finals, conference finals, Charlton. So, this GoFundMe page will get us through the rest of the sporting year.
Yeah.
And before you know it, we'll be having football kickoffs. So, we're going to have to be able to get up in a couple of stadiums.
Yeah.
And when you think about Hunt for October, baseball is just right around the corner with the World Series.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. Is right in time as we launch Big C Sports TV. We're asking for that GoFundMe. We're only looking for $3 billion to help launch the Big C Sports TV network. So, Big C, I also want to think of launching a lot of great baseball games going on around the country, and people are hitting the ball out of the yard. But before we even get on that, I do want to say congratulations to the Boston Celtics. I know they have, I believe, 17 or 18 world championships. more than anybody else in NBA. Last night, they played a dynamic game. And I still think they don't have Kyrie Irving. They don't have Gordon Hayward. But they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that shows you about their coach. Without any doubt, I would just vote him Coach of the Year right now. Take any team, lose your top 2 players, and still get the number 2 seed and into the Eastern Conference Finals. Big C, that has to be, hands down, Coach of the Year awards. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Brad Stevens has done a marvelous job manipulating his lineup there in Boston. And he has a very young lineup, Charlton, when you look at it, led by Rozier, Tatum. You know, you got these players, mixed with a few veterans in there with Baines and Horford.
Yep.
And so they've done a masterful job of getting to this point, Charlton. You think about it, they were in the Eastern Finals last year. And those 2 players that you mentioned were not in their lineup either.
Not at all.
So they were able to get there without having Irving and Hayward in the lineup. So, Charlton, this is a team that's built through fertility. And so when you think about having your teammates back, and that's very important when you're in a team sport. And when you look at this team, Charlton, you're not looking at a team with so-called superstars.
No.
You're looking at a team with, that is built on a team attribute. That these players cover for each other, Charlton. That they go out and they do what's necessary to win. They started off the season and no one thought that anybody would catch them. I think they got off to an 18-2 start at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
But they came back down to earth. Charlton, reality hit them with a few injuries. But this is a team that has stuck it out. When you look at what Boston has been able to get through, I mean, this series where they should have really swept the 76ers, but they hung in there, Charlton, and got it in 5.
Yeah.
This is a team that has gone out and done what's necessitated. Now, they're really facing a tough challenge in this next round against the Kings. LeBron is not going to be an easy out for anybody the rest of the playoffs, Charlton.
Well, we know
but
that,
they have a history.
Yeah.
They have a history. And so they understand how to defend the whole team. You know that LeBron is going to do his thing and get his 35, 40 points a night.
Yeah.
But it's holding everybody else in check, Charlton, what's essential in doing that.
Yeah, I think when you talk about that in Boston, I remember seeing a couple of games in the old Boston Garden. They had the lumpy floor. They didn't have air conditioning in that building. Can you imagine with the heat and humidity, as you go to what's called a humidity? They had the humidity up in the Boston Big C and in the old Boston Garden. Now they have TD Garden. It's a beautiful place, beautiful site. But there's nothing like the old Boston's. Boston Garden was amazing. I remember a lot of times watching the Lakers. As a young boy, Lakers going in there with Kareem and Magic and Worthy and Byron Scott and all them good old boys that they would go in there and play Boston, but there were already spots on the floor that they knew they couldn't dribble because the ball would stick. They call it the leprechaun. We just call it poor workmanship, Big C, out the West Coast is what they call it. But they called it leprechauns, that there was something about that old building. The new building lacks that. I know it's a gorgeous building in TD Garden, but it doesn't have that old, rustic, stinky, dank, putrid feeling that you had at Boston Garden. And it's amazing, they've only won 1 championship since getting out of the old Boston Garden at TD Garden. Do you miss that old, rustic, stinky? It's like you ever walk around New York City and sometimes you walk up on a block and you feel this putrid smell, and it's just like a restaurant sometimes, Big C.
Well, Charlton, the archaic old buildings that once existed around the NBA, and you think about Boston Gardens, which was an iconic facility that hosted many championships with the Bruins as well as the Celtics, Charlton. And this was a place where you could sit behind a beam in an arena and miss a shot, whether it was hockey or basketball.
You sure can.
You think about the floor, and the floor was warped because it was so aged, and the humidity that constantly existed in that building. That building was built, Charlton, without air conditioning. So you think about once you put 16,000 yelling, sweltering fans inside this facility as well as the players, that the temperature would automatically rise 10 to 12 degrees inside the building, Charlton.
That's true.
And so it took its toll on the players. But that was an advantage for Boston, even though everybody's saying, well, both teams are playing on the same court. When you were used to playing in that atmosphere, Charlton, it gave you an advantage. But that mental strife that you would put on your opponents, that you knew they were going to come in there and suffer because they were used to playing in these palatial palaces that were air conditioning and more modern and updated. So Boston had that mental advantage. TD Garden is just a modern day arena when you look at the scope of professional sports, basketball and hockey, Charlton. It's up to date.
Yeah.
It's built for fan comfort. But, one of the things you look at with all these modern stadiums, Charlton, things don't always translate from that old facility where you had a mental advantage to the new facilities where it's just an even keel for both teams.
Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on something. And you talked about it. In fact, you talked about it ever since we started Big C Sports, about having respect for the game. You know how we closed yesterday talking about golf and Phil and Tiger? Put your feelings or ill feelings, your anathema for each other aside, and realize you're representing your sport. Just like boxers will come out to the ring and they'll stand there and get officials to give them, the referee will give them some instructions. And mainly no low blows and break when I say break, etc. But there's something about these new places and these new kids on the block. When I saw Joel Embiid, who they're trying to make the face of Philadelphia, okay? The new franchise and the new hope, and we just talked about Madison Avenue the other day, these macabre athletes that have $1 million in the bank and they can't even buy a smile, not even a fake smile. Well, this brother wouldn't even shake hands, which is just sportsmanship. They teach that in the AAU. They teach it in Little League. They teach it in Pop Warner. They teach it in high schools. Sportsmanship is more about representing the team and the organization, not about you. But when Embiid, which says we don't need anything, wouldn't even shake hands after the defeat in honor of the game. You honor the game when you shake hands, not about you. Give me your thoughts on what that says to his organization about the top 50 players in the league, how they respect the league. What do they think about him? What advice would you give to him, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I don't know if you can give advice to young players now in the league. You either have it or you don't, as far as, having that intensity and respect for a game. So many of these young players are born in this tech age, Charlton, where they don't understand what allowed them to get to where they are professionally.
Amen.
To make the money that they make. They don't understand the blueprint and the carpet that was laid in front of them, but with the carnage of the older players over the years who sacrificed so much and battled to have free agency, to have unrestricted contracts, Charlton, to have guaranteed money in this game, to reduce the amount of draft picks that you have, to make it so that they would be having structure in their lives. The first round draft pick in the NBA now, Charlton, gets a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
He's guaranteed money for the length of that first contract that he signs. And so they don't understand that. So when they come in and they're number one draft pick of a team, Charlton, all they understand is that they have guaranteed money. I have guaranteed money that even if you cut me, you have to pay me.
Yes.
So they don't think that players established that years ago, Charlton, to allow them to have that luxury. They think that because they're modern day guys, that they saw themselves on some highlight sports show, that they've created this, this monopoly for themselves.
Yeah.
And so, not understanding your past, you have problems in your future, Charlton. And you've seen so many of these young players that have come out over the past couple of decades, and their careers haven't panned out the way that they thought they would.
Yes.
And that's because they don't have a respect for what allowed them to get to this point in life. And we see that not just in sports, Charlton, we see that in society with young people. I look at my kids who were born into, a technological age.
Yeah.
Where, all I had was 4 channels on the television growing up. Charlton.
Yeah.
That was it. And now, you think about a modern-day kid, Charlton, they will never know what it's like to hear a normal phone ring.
Yeah.
They don't. They never know what it's like to push buttons on a house phone or a rotary phone, Charlton. These are things that they're not tied to. So to have them recognize establishment, what created the ease of life and in their profession now that they have,
yeah,
you can't expect them to respect any part of the game or society.
Well, you think about some of the people who passed through Philadelphia, and you think maybe they're the most prodigal child for the whole city of Philadelphia when it comes to championship is Dr. J, Julius Erving. Not only was he a classy man, he won a championship for the city. He was an ambassador for the whole Northeast. Also, you could say the NBA. One of the best players in the history of the NBA universe in Dr. J. And Dr. J is about class. I remember one of the best commercials I've seen with the NBA is Dr. J. He was getting dressed, Big C. And he put his nice suit on, and he put his slacks on, and he was buttoning up his shirt. And he said, the suit is not ready unless you have a ring. And he slid that ring on his finger. But that was not just his finger. That finger belonged to the city of Philadelphia. It's for all the people who've ever wanted to play sports in that city. For all the people who bought tickets to the games, just like you talked about. It's for all the people who've ever taken their kids and grandkids to a game. It's about every kid that looks up and say, I want to be like that guy. I want to love the NBA. I think we talk about teaching moments. And if you want to respect the game, you got to get that macabre, I'm a tough guy attitude out of it. There's no place for it. I know that Stern cleaned it up, but Silver has to clean it up. And I know you can't force guys to do it. But at the same time, you want to pay homage to the respect of the former players that made your city have class. And I hope that Embiid will learn that. And I don't think that's too much to ask. Big C, I want to get your final thought on that.
Well, Charleston, you say you don't think it is, but it is. Well, when you have players, and you look at this current Philadelphia roster, and you talked about Dr. J winning a championship against the Lakers, and I believe it was in the mid-80s, when he won this championship against the Lakers.
Yeah.
But, prior to that, it was 1967, the last time the Sixers had won a championship against Wilt Chamberlain. This modern-day team doesn't know that, Charleston. They don't know any of the players on that team, yet that team had 4 All-Stars. Not just 4 All-Stars, but 4 Hall of Famers on it, Charleston.
Yeah.
You think about that. That 67 team was more star-laden than the Julius Erving championship team. But when you look at these modern players, Charleston, and none of them were born at that time. They weren't even born when Erving won his championship. So for them to go back and recognize players who won championships before they were even born, that's a hard thing to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard thing to ask of school kids to go in and ask them, who do you think taught this class 20 years ago?
Yeah.
They're not going to know, nor do they care. They really don't care about who was in that class 5 years before them, Johnson. The makeup of the young professional athlete now, I mean, they're great athletics.
Yeah.
But when you look at them, and majority of them have never gone and finished college, they're this one-and-done generation. Because I'm done with this. This doesn't mean anything. It's not going to help me along my path in life.
Yeah.
Get me my millions, and once I have my millions, then I'm on my own, and no one can tell me anything because I'm set for life. So me recognizing history, Charlton, is not important. Me respecting somebody who made less than me. Well, when you think about Simmons' contract, you think about Embiid's contract, you think about folks' contract who didn't even play this year, Charlton.
Yes.
You realize those contracts of those 3 individuals that they have is more money than Dr. J made during his career in Philadelphia.
Wow.
So when you look at these young players and they say, well, you got to have a respect for the past. So this guy is not even in my league financially.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how American society operates now. If you look at our White House, America is not in the same league as the White House financially when you look at the president's cabinet. He went out and loaded his cabinet with multimillionaires and billionaires.
Yes.
He wanted to make sure that people were on his level. He didn't care about society's whims, being in touch with people in society, understanding their needs, understanding the oppressed. That's what you're asking a young athlete to do now, is understand the oppressed part of society. You're asking them to be a savior and have a conscience.
Yeah.
They don't, Charlton. They have a large bank account. And that's across the scope culturally, Charlton. Because what you look at is you ask minority athletes to have a social conscience. No one calls on mainstream athletes to have a social conscience. And if they don't, no one calls them to the plate for it.
Yeah.
They blend into society. They spend their millions. And no one even says anything. No one has a second thought about it, Charlton. But the minute a minority athlete becomes a multimillionaire, everyone is saying, well, he has to be aware of what allowed him to get to this point.
Yeah.
Not his athleticism, not his agent, but what occurred decades ago. We all forget about history in America, Charlton. Honestly, if you go out and you ask the layman person on the street about any phase of American history, about 40 to 35% of it would be accurate on their answers. The rest, Charlton, they don't have a clue.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I tell you what, I hope that he learns because it's a great game and it's great to see you pay respect to the team that beat you. I wanna just
but
run.
I also got to look at this. Let me throw this little bit of defense out from Embiid.
Yeah.
You realize he only came to America a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He's from Cameroon. He's not an American-born citizen. He's a foreign citizen who came here, Charlton, and went to college. He came here on a college scholarship.
Yeah.
So he wasn't brought up here. So to understand the history of the NBA or even this country is a far stretch to even think that about him.
Yeah.
When we have people that were born and raised and went educationally through this country from kindergarten on up, even preschool, Charlton, who may not know more than Embiid.
Yeah.
But he's a foreigner playing in America. Just like if you were to go to the NHL and ask those hockey players, well, 50% of them are from foreign countries that play in the NHL. Okay, where are you socially in the United States? Where are you about the history of the NHL? Charlton, it'd be the same as asking them that question if you ask Embiid that question, which is kind of unfair to a degree.
Well, I think everyone can learn, and I hope that some young people talk to him, irrespective of what color. I hope we can all show respect to the game. I want to get your thoughts, though, going into what really is, this is really what we asked for. We asked for the best players. We know the NBA is a player-driven league. On the Western Conference, we have really, a lot of people think, the best two teams in the NBA, Golden State and Houston. Golden State, obviously, they're like the New England Patriots of the NFL. They're always in the championship, in the finals. And now you have Houston. Houston's the new kid on the block. I remember back in the day when they won a championship with Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, and they actually played the New York Knicks in one of those championships and beat them, the great Patrick Ewing. And I think about, that's how far they have to go back to look at what it was like to be in a championship. I know Houston, the Astros won a championship this year, knocking off the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Hugh Darvish helped them. I think Hugh forgot what team he was pitching for at Big C. He's still doing the same thing in Chicago. It's amazing he gets all the money he's getting. You can Google his stats, Big C. But just give me your anticipation for what you can expect as we get into Monday tip-off for the Golden State Warriors in the land of Vibranium, and then the Houston Rockets in Houston. We have liftoff. Your thoughts on what are you looking forward to, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a shooter series when you look at it. This is about having a hot hand. When you look at the makeup and composite of both of these teams are both built to run and score. You know, the Warriors are a better defensive team than Houston, and that could be Houston's Achilles heel. We know if you say defense to James Harden, he almost breaks down and cries.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, you're talking about playing 4-on-5 when it comes down to defense. And so, that's their Achilles. Asking James Harden to defend one of those top-scoring guards at Golden State.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind shooting the ball, but he's like, defense, but there he goes. And so, you got to bring some therapy to the game for him.
Big C, don't be too hard on him. Remember, you said you need the GoFundC account. Chris Harden might GoFundC. Okay, Chris Harden, we love you. GoFundC account, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, but this is a game. I look at CP3.
Yes.
Who had his best game in the playoffs of his entire pro career, 96 games, Shelton. He saved his best for his 96 games to make it to a conference final. I think Capella at center is very intriguing for the Rockets in this series. Can he stay out of foul trouble, Charlton? And who will he match up against? That's going to be a key question.
Yeah.
If the Warriors don't play their bigs, how integral will Capella be in this game? Now, he matched up well, against Utah.
Yes.
But, if the Warriors don't play their two bigs that they have to keep them on the bench, can Capella compete?
Yeah.
When you look at the Golden State Warriors, they have players that you can put on Harden, and I see either Iguodala or Green being matched up against him.
Yeah.
That's just what I see as far as this game goes. Because you'll put Curry on
is it Chris Paul, you think so?
CP3.
Yeah.
And then you can match up anybody else with anybody, Charlton. That's what I look at with Golden State. But, the thing with the Warriors is that they want to run.
Yeah.
That's how they put the pressure on you. And, everyone talks about, Houston beat them 2 out of 3 in the regular season. That's the regular season. Go back to the playoffs last year, Charlton.
Yep.
Houston beat them in the playoffs in the Western Conference Final last year. No, they didn't. that's a time when James Harden basically disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at him in this last game against Utah. He disappeared in that game, Charlton.
Yeah.
So was that a prelude to what's going to happen in the Western Conference Final? Is James Harden going to disappear? And then when you think about the number of air balls that James Harden shot, you know, you wouldn't think that from the league's leading scorer shooting that many air balls in critical series. Fortunately enough, Charlton, he had teammates that could take up the slack, and it didn't hurt the organization.
Well, I think I wanna just applaud you for some things you talked about before, because you always you like to mix everything with livestock, Big C, and I kind of get the understanding why when I realize how much meat you guys eat down south. You related it to the old bull on the hill with the young bull. And the young bull saw all these beautiful other, wildlife down the hill, said, let's run down there and enjoy one of them. And the old bull said, no, let's walk down there and enjoy them all, Big C. And you were saying that Harden, just like Usain Bolt, he's good for the first 100. He's good for the 200. He's good for the 400. But once he runs the mile and he never takes his foot off the gas, he's not going to win the mile. You notice Usain Bolt's not the fastest man in the world when it comes to running the mile, no matter how fast he is in the 100. Guys have to pace. They have to learn pacing. And you, the only guy that brought up how many air balls this guy they want to give the MVP to has been shooting. LeBron James not shooting air balls. He's getting Cleveland into the Eastern Conference Finals. He wasn't shooting air balls against Indiana. He wasn't shooting air balls in Canada. Wasn't shooting air balls against them. But Harden, there's something about athletes when you shoot your load too fast, you gotta learn to slow down, as you say. The young bulls need to learn from the old bulls. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is the thing, and mentally you gotta look at where Harden is.
Yeah.
Because the challenge is on him.
He's too macabre.
All the media is talking about Harden right now.
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of talk about LeBron being possibly the NBA MVP.
He knows it.
So I think that's gotten into his head a little bit.
Yeah.
And, he struggled in his game because the way that LeBron has played throughout the playoffs in the first and second round, Harden hasn't been at that level consistently every night.
No, he hasn't.
His first game, he went out and scored 40, but he's only had 2 games in the 40s in the entire playoffs, Charlton. So him looking at the pressure LeBron that the media is putting on him, as well as he's got to look at the pressure from last year's series against Golden State Warriors that the media will constantly remind him of. They're going to say, look like you ran out of gas in that final game against the Warriors last year.
Yeah.
You were non-productive. You didn't even get 20 points.
Yeah.
You spent most of the fourth quarter on the bench. You just weren't into the game, and the coach saw that also.
Yeah.
So when you think about the mental war that the media wages against players, and people don't always see that, nor do they recognize or understand it.
No.
But the media puts more of a mental war on the players than the player do themselves, because the thing about it, you don't hear the players talking on these sports shows about, what this player likes or how well he did or how he was victimized or vulnerable, in this series last year or even in the previous series.
Yeah.
Instead of uplifting every player throughout a series, Charlton, they find things to nitpick at.
Yeah.
We do it also.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the accuracy or the inaccuracy of a situation. And what I'm pointing out with Harden is what the accuracy was about what he did not do in this previous series, Charlton, that he seemed tired. They tried to pass him off that he wasn't feeling well. Well, when you're shooting air balls, you can't be feeling too great anyway. I don't care who you are. Shaquille O'Neal didn't feel great every time he went to the free throw line. He was nervous.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember even Shaq in his playoff series against Portland, they had fouled Shaq like 8 times in a row, and Shaq was like 8 for 8 from the line, and then at one time they stopped fouling him, and I remember I got a good laugh out of that because Shaq could lock it down if he focused hard enough, Big C. But I do want to say, for all of the people who are out there in this beautiful universe, we're coming up on a beautiful Mother's Day holiday. We want to say to all the mothers all over this universe, shout it from the mountaintops that Big C Sports wishes all the mothers in the universe Happy Mother's Day. And I want to thank all of the people who do a great service for everybody who ever has a time of need. I want to say this is National Nurses Week, and there are nurses all over this great universe, all over the world that listen to Big C Sports, and they do a good job taking care of patients. And I want to say to all you beautiful nurses out there that we thank you for your service. I also want to say it's National Teachers Week for all of the teachers. I know a lot have been on strike because you're not treated fair, and we got to change that, Big C. They're not treated fair. But I want to acknowledge all of the teachers that made a difference in the lives of every young person, the teachers that said you can be something, the teachers like Marvin Collins that said, yes, you will go to college, that you will succeed, you are somebody. I thank those teachers, whether it's from poor neighborhoods or wealthy neighborhoods, neighborhoods of diversity. I thank those teachers who are underpaid and overworked for always doing everything they can to pour life into young people. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, teachers have always been in the forefront to inspire young people to achieve, whether it's in mainstream society, whether it's in athletics. Everyone can point to a teacher who made a turning point in that young person's life, Charlton. They will direct you in the right way. You just have to understand the message that they're giving to you. You know, there was oftentimes that you had teachers that you thought were picking on you. But what they were doing, Charlton, was trying to reach down and pull out all of that stress that you had inside you to get you focused on the task at hand. And when you talk about teachers being underappreciated, Charlton, they've always been. When you think about the lack of pay that our government is willing to pay our future, I mean, look at it from that aspect. The lack of money that our government is unwilling to pay the future of America. When you say that you want America to be competitive, you want it to be strong on the world stage, but yet you don't pay for the foundation of our society to be educated properly. And so when these teachers have to go into these environments, Charlton, with lack of financial funds in their pocket, lack of finances to put the supplies in the schoolrooms that they need to have these tutorials for these children, they're the most underappreciated, culture in America. The people that we put the trust in our hands to raise our next generation and the future of our society is the most disrespected part of society in America. Hands down, Charlton.
I agree. So for all the teachers all over the great country, the United States of America, and it's for that fact, all over the universe, Big C Sports, we just appreciate you. Keep your hopes up. Keep fighting for learning. I know a lot of teachers do it because they love it. I do want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. Big C, I just think about what we started talking about in the world of basketball. We know Golden State and Houston, we love that. But I wanna just get your thoughts on the Eastern Conference side now. But before we even do that, I want to just say Steph Curry obviously has to have a good series. Durant has to have a good series. Thompson has to have a good series. Draymond Green has to have a good series. But there's also, I think Iguodala is so important. JaVale McGee's going to come off the bench and do some things for Golden State as well. They have a host of players, Swaggy P included, and I just like the way they play. I know Capella and Harden and Paul, they have to have a good game. And I just look at the coaching. I know that Golden State has Kerr, but more than that, they have players who've been there. So I really look for them to come out of the West. And, of course, if I listen to my friend down in Las Vegas, you're not getting my money down in Las Vegas. I just letting you good old boys know I'm not betting. But I do think Golden State has a lot of merit in winning that, especially Harden being tired. I want to get your thoughts on two of the best players. They call them both the GOAT. We can call them both two of the best players in the universe, in the great Michael Jordan and LeBron James. If you think about how great Jordan was, Big C, Jordan only played in 37 playoff games. You think about that. James has already played in 43 playoff games. And Jordan only 34. With 6 championships, and he did it pretty much in 8 seasons. We know he had to step aside. He also liked some people down in Las Vegas. One of the reasons he had to step aside, Big C, no pun intended. But I'm telling you, LeBron is better than Jordan. It's not about championships, because Jordan has more championships than than LeBron James, but Russell has more championships than Jordan, but Jordan's a better player than Russell. But Mike came along at a time when with one of those shoe companies with that, somebody put a smidge on the side of a shoe company in Big C. I forgot the name of that company, but they blasted it all over the universe. And instead of giving annuities to kids who bought those shoes, they just said, thank you, here's a receipt. They could have given annuities. You can Google that. But LeBron James has hired more people than Michael Jordan. LeBron James has taken more of less and made more with it, coming out of a high school program in Ohio, and Jordan came out of North Carolina. LeBron has taken and done, championships with more than one organization. Jordan's only won a championship with the Chicago Bulls. So no matter who you love, no matter who you respect the most, I think if they played one-on-one, I got to give the edge to the great LeBron James. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, physically, James was dominating, but you got to look at the backdrop of both of the players, Charlton, throughout their careers. When you look at Jordan in Chicago, he had all-stars on his roster, okay? You had Scottie Pippen. You had Dennis Rodman. These were all-star players. Horace Grant was an all-star, Charlton.
Yeah.
While Michael Jordan was in Chicago.
Yeah.
But when you look at LeBron James, when he was in Miami, yes, he had two all-star players on his roster. He had Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
But in Cleveland, who has been an all-star other than LeBron? I mean, Kevin Love was one prior to getting there, but he hasn't been an all-star, Charlton. He's fallen down that ladder. But when you think about Jordan, it was always every year that he was winning a championship that he had an all-star teammate or sometime two on the roster. And that's the big advantage that he had over LeBron. When you look at LeBron has been carrying these teams. You think about Jordan. He never led the Bulls in assists during any championship season that they had.
That's right.
LeBron has done it in every championship season that he has played, either in Miami or in Cleveland. Jordan didn't do that, Charlton. He's led his team in rebounds. Jordan didn't do that, Charlton. So when you think about, the ability of one player to command so much, that has been LeBron throughout his career. He's led two organizations in scoring and rebounding and assists. Jordan didn't do that with one organization, Charlton. So when you talk about the championships, and everybody will always go to the championship, well, Jordan had 6. I'll always say Robert Horry had 7 during the same time. Okay?
Yep.
So let's throw out the championships in saying he's the greatest player. Because a player during that same era that he played in had one more championship than him.
Yeah.
And however you want to slice it, if you're basing it on championships, then it's Robert Horry, behind the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
But, James, in what he has done in the NBA is that he's changed the structure and stature of the NBA as far as dominance, just overall dominance, is that when you look at it, after 15 years in the league, Charlton, he's had his best year as a pro.
Yeah.
You couldn't say that about Michael Jordan, that 15 years in the league that he was having his best season as a pro.
No.
It just didn't happen. So what he has done has been unparalleled in the NBA annals, Charlton.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the greats of Kareem, Wilt, Karl Malone, Bill Russell. These guys who have legacies in the game. But in their 15th year in the league, Charlton, you can't say that any one of them were more dominant than what LeBron has been this season.
No, and I think something else that I think is just as important for intelligent people. It's a lot more important. You say, well, at a time it was too soon, or some people can't be everything. But Michael Jordan, as much as a lot of kids loved Michael Jordan, and they went out and begged their parents to buy some shoes with somebody's put a smidge mark on the shoes, Big Z, and they went out and bought these shoes that cost $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 for some inner city parents, and somebody put their name on them, and that was Jordan. Also, Jordan never took a political stand for anything because he wanted the money so bad he was willing to be bought. I'm not saying that people can't be bought, but LeBron James, Jordan was closer to the Ali era than LeBron James was, but LeBron James came out with Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony and a lot of other people that went in Hollywood when they stood up for Black Lives Matter. Now, we talked about the school teachers, and we just paid homage to the school teachers all over the world. In fact, all over the universe that do a lot to help kids. It's not just about their pocket, their bottom line. And what a lot of people didn't, they got on Michael Jordan about it. Mainstream wouldn't touch it because they wanted to get his autograph so much. But Michael knows he didn't do the social advocacy that he could have done that Kareem and Jim Brown started before him. That means they helped open the door for Michael. And Michael came through and kept quiet and took all the money. And he never even donated any of that money to the Big C Fund that we're asking to donate some of that money to, okay? He can still make amends for that and atone for that. So I don't like sycophants athletes. I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying when you're given a platform like Big C Sports has, not everybody likes it. Some people don't care less about defending women and people of color. They say, you know what, just shut up and dribble. This is too soon. You don't want to upset somebody. No, it's about somebody opening the door for us, like the great Dr. Martin Luther King. And there's just too many people, they turn a blind eye. I'm talking about African Americans. I got mine, get yours, that mentality. LeBron James hasn't done that. So in my mind, because I'm not a sycophant, I love both of them as athletes. But there's one I would say you can put your kids up and say, follow this guy because he's about more than just himself. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he's an advocate for society. And, when you're looked at as a leader is not just a person who goes out and gives speeches. A leader is somebody that you don't find out about what they're doing. LeBron has been very professional about his actions in communities and in society, Charlton.
Sure has.
He is going out. He gets enough accolades about being an athlete. What he does from his heart on helping people, helping young kids in American society, Charlton, that's from his heart. And he doesn't need anybody to pat him on the back for that, for being that social activist, Charlton, for being that person that mainstream society will go after and blast, tell him to shut up and just play basketball because they fear an individual like that, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's just like with Colin Kaepernick. He's feared by mainstream society, so they said, we have to attack him and say, well, he's against the flag and the military because we fear what he's saying. That if he gets enough people to understand the social consciousness that he's talking about and makes them aware, then we're in trouble. Our lie doesn't have legs any longer.
Yep.
That's what happens to people like that. LeBron just has to be more powerful than what Kaepernick was, because can you imagine if LeBron had taken a knee during the national anthem of a game, Charlton?
Yep.
How would America handle that? Would they come out and say that LeBron was against the flag and the military? Or would they say, gosh, this has gotten bigger than what we ever expected for it to be?
Yeah.
And that would be the case because LeBron is such a prescient individual.
Yes.
And everybody looks at him. I mean, this is a man that when he left an organization, the owner of that organization lost $1 billion.
Wow.
That's how powerful LeBron James was. Dan Gilbert hated LeBron James. Took out a full-page ad against LeBron James.
Sure did.
Because he left. Wasn't that he cared about LeBron as an individual? It was that his net worth took a hit.
Yeah.
Of $1 billion. That's all he cared about was his net worth. It wasn't about the individual wanting self-preservation, wanting something of his own that he could have. It was that this man said, you cost me $1 billion. This is what I think of you as a person. And that's the mentality of most of society, Charlton, is that you love an athlete when he's on top of the heat. You saw everybody burning their jersey when LeBron left the city of Cleveland.
Yes.
No one left in Chicago burned their jersey when Jordan left.
No.
They embraced it. They kept those things.
Yeah.
But, to have society saying that you don't have the ability as a man, as a professional, as a person who is in touch with himself to make decisions on your own, your decisions hurt our lives financially.
Yeah.
And we hate you for that.
Yeah.
You think about it. That white society will hate a black man who makes a decision to better himself and his family because they say he costs them money. You're the intelligent one. Remember, you told him to just shut up and dribble a basketball.
Yes.
But you're the intelligent one, and you're saying that you hate this individual because he can make his own rash decisions.
I love about growing up. I used to listen to my grandparents. I wish kids could do it today, and I think some of them do. But I always heard my parents and grandparents talk about business and politics. Oftentimes the kids would go outside and play sports and play games. But, the grandparents would sit up and talk about things coming out of Jim Crow, and they weren't just enamored that somebody could catch a ball or could throw a ball or could shoot a ball. And I still think at some point in time when we all look at the end of our lives, did we leave a legacy of anything other than saying, man, that guy can shoot the ball. Man, he's fast. Look at how big and tall this guy is. Oh, my God, he can really jump high. What a waste of time. What a waste of human thought. I love the fact that my grandparents, they spoke wisdom. They taught us to read and write. They made sure we got an education. But more than anything, they said, don't just play sports. You're a lot more than that. You can be more than that. And that's why on the Big C Sports Show, we'll never just read your scores like we're dumb. Like we're dumb, erstwhile athletes. I say, hey, man, can you believe how many points he scored in the game? Oh, man, that guy's amazing. No, I think for men that do that, and if you have a program director saying they want you to be dumb, what's your price? I mean, everybody can be bought. Our grandparents, at least where I grew up, they taught us to read and be proud of being intelligent, be proud of being erudite. So that's one of the reasons I love LeBron James and his mentality. Big C, I see young white kids wearing 23. I'm not talking about jerseys. I mean tattooed on their arms. Tattooed. I'm not saying worship an athlete. But when people know that you're ignorant and you're proud of it because you say nothing about it, they don't respect you. No person respects an ignorant person. But when you stand up, there's a reason Dr. King has a monument in Washington, D.C. Because he spoke to the whole universe about the plight of African Americans. And he marched for men and women. That's why he has a statue. So for a lot of men who say, well, my director doesn't want me to talk like that, look him in the eye and ask him one simple question. You know the plight of black men in this country, 1 in 4 under the tutelage of the criminal justice system, unless you're just a dumb person wanting to know the score. Ask this question. What will you do to help me keep my kids safe? That's not a hard question. Will you do something to help me keep my kids safe? If you're thinking about women, ask that question. You know Harvey Weinsteins are out there, Matt Lauer, them good old boys. They're not on trial. Ask them, what will you do to help keep our daughters safe? That's a fair question, Big C. That's why I respect LeBron James, and I respect everybody that has a mind. They're not afraid to speak up against wrong, and that's so important. That's what men and women do. Big C in the NHL. And I think back by popular demand, I don't even want to say it, but I'm just going to say, you look at Canada, and you look at the Predators, they're playing tonight. In Winnipeg, Nashville, I kind of was torn by it, but I got to say it. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. I hope it's not the last time I sing it, Big C. I'm sure a lot of Canadians hope it is the last time we sing it, Big C. But give me your thoughts. They're already throwing the puck around. Winnipeg at Nashville. It's a big deal down south. Bigger than I ever thought hockey would be in the south. Your thoughts on what it means for the Predators in Winnipeg, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a game for it all. You think about Game 7 in a series. The first Game 7 in the Winnipeg Jets franchise history in a playoff series. And this is a chance to go and have a chance to knock off last year's runner-up in the Stanley Cup, the Nashville Predators, Charlton, who made their first Stanley Cup appearance last season. And down in Nashville, where the Jets have won 2 games in this series, Charlton, so there's really no true home court advantage when you think about where these players are. But it's integral, when you think about hockey, how important it is, Charlton, to get on the scoreboard first.
Yes.
It's a 0-0 game, when you start. But the first team that scores, Charlton, has themselves this daunting advantage of saying, okay, now we have to play defense.
Yes.
And as physical as this game gets, Charlton, this is a game I expect to see a lot of penalties in tonight, Charlton, a lot of hard checking, and a very close game. I see this being a 1-goal game by the end of the night, Charlton.
Well, you think about it also, it's a Game 7, and I look at what happened with Toronto. You're playing against Cleveland being swept, but also having to go to Game 7 against Washington. So Canada's used to seeing these Game 7. And I'm not anti-American, so none of you Trump white ringer like Steve Bannon, don't say that Big C Sports is not American or won't stand for American sports teams, Big C. But I just hope that for the whole country, Canada, that you have something to be proud of, and that this team, if you get behind them, whether they win tonight or not, I just want to say for the whole country of Canada. It would be a shame to not have some team from Canada chasing Lord Stanley Cup. Big C, I know you're a golfing boy, and I was, some people were asking me, we were talking about yesterday how you train those hounds to go get those golf balls after you hit the golf balls down there in the South. And I know we have a great tournament going on, and starting today, we talked about the PGA, Players Championship, and Tiger Woods, Phil, back in the swing of things again, not just playing for themselves, but playing for the whole golf universe. How important it would be that they do something to get some energy into the golf world, because you can watch almost any golf event lately, and when Tiger's out there, of course, it's crowded. But they got to pair these two, because I think it just brings more people together. And golf is a beautiful sport, but it can't compete with NBA basketball, and it competes with baseball until baseball gets into the playoffs, and nothing competes with the NFL. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this was a tough day for Phil out on the links. Phil, ended up shooting 7 over.
Yeah.
He got on a stretch where he had 3 double bogeys out of 4 holes. And so things didn't fare well for him.
Was it the Tiger effect again?
Well, it may have been. I mean, that's been a critical part of his career.
Yeah.
Having that Tiger Woods effect on him, Charlton, that has hindered him throughout his career. It was always, he was compared to Tiger, when you looked at it. But Phil, has been a very steady golfer over time.
Yes.
But, when it comes down to that Tigerism, that makes anybody, a little nervous. You look at Tiger, he shot even on the day. He shot a 72.
Yes.
Where Phil shot a 79. So these players are not in contention when you think about it. The leader is 6 under.
Yes.
On the course, Charlton. So, we don't always expect for these guys to go back to where they were. And you have a log jam at the top of the leaderboard, Charlton, with 6 guys.
Yeah.
That are 6 under. So, you think about it. Tiger would have to shoot 2 phenomenal rounds to even get into the running. Phil basically shot himself out of it today. And they will be paired again tomorrow, Charlton. Everybody, was in that fishbowl watching these 3, along with Ricky Fowler, go up and down the course, Charlton.
Yes.
But, the day of Tiger and Phil commanding the top of the leaderboard, I think those best days are behind us. It would be nice to see them be competitive, although Phil did win 1 tournament this year.
Yes.
But Tiger really has to adjust his game. Like I said, he needs to find a way to throw his driver out into one of those lakes, wherever they have an alligator at.
Yes.
And feed him lunch. And use the rest of the clubs in his bag.
And feed the alligator some lunch. Yep.
One of the things you always have to understand as you get older as an athlete, and it's the toughest thing to accept.
Yes.
Is that your game is not as dominant as your mind.
Yeah. That's true.
That's what we have to accept as we get older as athletes.
Yeah.
Is that our game is not as dominant as our mind wants it to be. And so you have to understand your physical limitations and make adjustments to them. If you can ever get your mind to make adjustments to your physical limitations,
yes,
then your career can be prolonged at a high level.
Yeah.
But until great athletes are willing to accept that, Charlton, we will always see them as struggling, aging athletes.
Well, I got to take you back to a time when I look at boxing, and I know we pay a lot of homage to Muhammad Ali, the late Muhammad Ali, and as the greatest fighter ever, and he fought. Even his last couple of fights, he just should not have had the fights. And I even look at guys like Larry Holmes. George Foreman, when you look at him and his fight against Ali, that was a major turn in a different direction for him. Mike Tyson was on top of the world. In fact, he was on top of the universe, Mike Tyson was, until he lost that fight to Buster Douglas. He came back and had some success, but he ran into Holyfield twice. And he bit his ear the first time. The second time, they had some crazy things going on. And that was his end. That was his demise. I think you look at the great Sugar Ray Leonard. And when we talk about athletes that were so dominant in their prime, Thomas Hitman Hearns. And you think about how, I think about these guys that we just love. You hate to see them walk away. But something that George Foreman still does that none of them have done, well, I would say Sugar Ray Leonard has, they became commercialized. He learned to market that George Foreman grill, Big C. He learned to continue doing something that kept his face in front of people after his last great fight. And you talk about Tiger and Phil. I think they'll still have a couple majors in them. But do you think that they can learn something from George Foreman? People still think about George Foreman now more for the George Foreman grill than the guy that at one time was heavyweight champion of the world, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, most professional athletes are like NASCAR drivers. They keep making one turn, okay?
Yeah.
They turn in the same direction all the time.
Yeah.
They don't know how to keep the steering wheel straight or even turn to the right. And that's what happens when you get older in your career. You need to learn how to make that right turn instead of consistently making that left turn, falling further and further in the pack.
Yes.
And that's been the toughest things for athletes, to have the proper advisors around. When you're a professional athlete on the top of your game,
yep,
everybody's a fan. Even your financial advisors, your agents, everybody's a fan, your parents. But as you get older and your skills tarnish a bit, to have an advisor, that's what you need. You don't need a fan. You don't need a friend anymore.
Yeah.
You need an objective advisor. And that's one of the things that most professional athletes avoid of.
Yeah.
You live out there in the Bay Area. And when Bill Walsh made the objective move to get rid of Joe Montana,
yes,
everybody in the Bay Area was a fan of Joe Montana and hated Steve Young.
Yeah.
Think about that. They hated Steve Young, even though he was the better athlete for the organization when he took the reins.
Yeah.
He didn't win a Super Bowl his first year. So everybody was like, wow, see, we told you shouldn't have got rid of Joe Montana.
Yep.
You should have kept Joe around. We'd have won again. Steve's not ready for prime time.
Yeah.
But the organization made a right-hand turn instead of kept going left. No pun intended, even though Young was a left-handed quarterback and Joe was a right-handed quarterback.
Yeah.
But they turned away from what had gotten them to the heights of where they were. Because Bill Walsh had learned from the legacy in the NFL.
Yes.
Bill Walsh had watched other teams win championships. When the Green Bay Packers won 2 Super Bowls with Bart Starr, when his skills became more diminished, they didn't win again until Brett Favre. Think about it.
Yep.
Decades. They went 4 decades without winning again. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers with Terry Bradshaw winning 4 championships. When he got hurt, the fortunes of that franchise went in another direction. It was 2 decades before they won a championship again, Charlton.
Yeah.
So when you look at Bill Walsh, he said, I can't let our organization go the same route that the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers went, laying all their eggs on one quarterback and not having a quarterback in reserve that could take over.
Yep.
That wouldn't even have the time to develop.
Yep.
So he made the move, Charlton.
That's true.
And he brought in Steve Young, replaced him. Athletes don't understand that. Fans don't understand that. Is that you have to have an alternative. You have to be willing to go another direction. And to let you know that Joe never won another championship again without Bill Walsh of the 49ers, even though he did play admirably well in Kansas City. But organizations have to prep themselves, Charlton,
that's right,
for their future.
Yeah.
Just like athletes. You have to prep yourself to say, my game is not what it once was. We hate to see our heroes disappear. That's society. You've grown up with these guys. They become household figures with you. You wear their jerseys. You have their photographs hanging up.
Yeah.
But time will pass, Charlton. Every great athlete goes. I know as a kid, watching great baseball players because it was so prominent in America.
Yeah.
To see Hank Aaron, to see Willie Mays, to see Don Clendenin, Charlton.
Yes.
To see Boog Powell, to see the guys that could hit the ball, that could pitch, Bob Gibson, to Mickey Lolich, to see the great players of our era, Dick Allen, and to watch them as their careers, seem to wane away.
Yes.
And it's like, wow, when it came time for them to go, I know the saddest time for me in watching a favorite athlete, and that was Willie Mays, when he went back to the Mets to finish his career after the Giants said, your career's over, Willie. And he said, well, I want to go back to where I started from.
Yeah.
And he went back to the Mets, and no one even knew who Willie Mays was.
Yeah.
He was just a shell of himself trying to hold on.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
Willie's mind was willing, and his body said no. He barely batted over 200, Charleston. He had no legs left. But, you know, you wanted to remember him as to say, hey, kid, not this diminished veteran who no longer can play the game.
Well, we hope that all of our great athletes, and whether you are in the sports world or the political world, sometimes you just need someone to tell you it's time to get to another thing in life. And we hope that all is well in all the great sports around the world. We love National Nurses Day and National Teachers Week. And for all the people who are taking care of other people, congratulations. We always want to say an early Happy Mother's Day to everybody around the world, to all of you mothers around the world. Tell it from the mountaintop that Big C Sports wishes you a Happy Mother's Day earlier than everybody else, Big C. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble, Big C. What are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charleston, we have the two best teams facing off again tonight in New York in the final game of this three-game series. The Yankees are 26-10 going in, Boston 25-11. Will Boston take the last game of this series and even up with the two best teams in baseball having equal records, Charleston?
Well, speaking of equal records, there's none equal to every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. You can follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.